This episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast is driven by Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy. CGA is the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource. They've got over 160 instructional videos that includes everything that you need to take your 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com, sign up for their free preview module, and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the most advanced gun dog training resource on the web. You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast, episode 162. This week on the show, we're talking about 5 characteristics that all successful waterfowl hunters must have. All right, welcome to episode 162 of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast, where you're on-demand audio source for all things waterfowl and waterfowl hunting. I'm your host, Josh Palm. You can check us out at hpoutdoors.com. Find us on all podcast directories out there, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, all the good ones. You can find our show. You can also find us across all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you're a Facebook user, head over to our Facebook group. Chat with a bunch of like-minded hunters. This week, we are brought to you by Quack Rack. They're premium decoy and gear hauling solutions for your UTV or boat. 100% American-made, front racks, roof baskets, and rear racks. Follow Quack Rack on Facebook and Instagram, or check out their hashtag Haul More, Shoot More, and visit quackrack.com today. Joining me this week, as he always does, Mr. Dan Harushka. Dan, what is up?
I like your energy, man. It's not very often that we record at 2 p.m.
I know. Feels so good.
I know. It's like we're not falling asleep right now.
I know.
It's awesome.
It's like not the last thing on earth that I want to be doing right now, so it feels good. Mm-hmm. And you're actually in the house. You're not out in the garage. So
it feels warm and
there's no crickets. We're like FaceTiming. I can see your red beard just in like 720 resolution. It's pretty amazing.
I don't have 15 jackets on. This is awesome.
Correct. Yeah, this is good stuff. So got a good episode lined up this week. Before we dive into that, though, do you want to just take a minute to thank Gunner Kennels? They're engineered for your dog, designed for travel, and built for your peace of mind. The G1 Kennels set a new industry standard and put Gunner Kennels in a category all its own. They were started to protect your pet, and it continues to be at the center of everything they do. They're dedicated to building the best and safest pet travel crate on the market, because man's best friend deserves man's best kennel. Check out their G1 series of kennels and accessories at gunnerkennels.com. Also, thank you to Lucky Duck. About the only creature that they can't deceive is you. Lucky Duck's more than a brand. It's a lifestyle built around the subtle art of critter deception. Man, that's a tongue twister for me. So while you're focused on the business end of your shotgun or rifle, know that they're completely focused on what matters most, you. So whether you're in the duck blind, dove field, on a predator stand, or chasing turkeys, they're confident that their products will help you succeed. Check out their full lineup at luckyduck.com and keep up with their latest news by following them on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, thank you to Eukanuba. We're out in the field. How you've prepared determines how you'll perform. With balanced fat and protein to support peak condition, Eukanuba premium performance dog food enhances strength, energy, and endurance. So when the pavement ends and the truck doors finally swing open, you and your dogs are ready for anything. Strong, focused, and ready for anything. That's a Eukanuba dog. Also, thank you to Duck Camp. Our friends over at Duck Camp joined up with the HP community here recently, and they're making high-quality hunting apparel in their own camouflage patterns. They're shaking up the industry with a more modern take on hunting and fishing apparel. They're making high-quality, lightweight, midweight, and heavyweight shirts, perfect for the blind, back at camp, or out in town. They're also making premium fleece hoodies, breathable rain jackets, and even some new brush pants. They're super durable and comfortable, and the other great products for the waterfowler and wing shooter. So check out their website to outfit the hunter in your life for the holidays. Even if that's you, visit duckcamp.com. And finally, thank you this week to Turtlebox Audio. They're also running some quality Black Friday deals, so check them out if you're in the market for some outdoor audio gear. All right, Dan. So we Thanksgiving's tomorrow, so pretty pumped to be off work for a few days. We got a cool episode, I think.
Me too.
Yeah. You're off for a few days. So there's definitely been stuff going on in your life with that. And we got a cool topic that we're going to talk about this week, which is basically we each have 5 characteristics that we believe all successful waterfowl hunters need to have. So we're going to kind of go through that. We've not pre-coordinated that anything, so I have no idea what you have in mind for this, and then you have no idea for me. But I did want to kind of start off with a really unfortunate story that's coming out of a really local home there up your neck of the woods with that recent hunting accident. Why don't you talk a little bit about that real quick?
Yeah, and it's actually a kid. I want to say kid. He's 20 years old though. His mom is a teacher where you went to high school at. So, like you said, my kids don't go there, but we're only a mile away from that line to going there. But yeah, so a couple kids were out, and I'm not sure if it was before the hunt or after the hunt, but apparently he had a loaded gun in a jet sled, and he went to get it out, and this is just secondhand from what I heard, grabbed the shotgun, or either way, something snagged on the trigger and point blank to his abdomen, and his buddies there called 911 and everything. But in that situation, there's really nothing you can do, and right there on the scene, a good-looking kid lost his life. So something that, while traveling to or from a spot, you should never be loaded up. I think we talk about that quite often, but unfortunately, it was an accident, and they do happen. So really sad. Today's his funeral and the viewing and everything that goes along with that. So not cool.
That's a bummer. Just such a young kid, right? And we talk about safety a lot, and a lot of it is around boats and things like that. But I feel like this year, for some reason, I've seen more stories than I can ever remember of guys having like the tip of their barrel shot off by somebody in the blind with them, or just things like that are going on that really, a lot of people want to just brush off. But I mean, that's scary stuff. And I think about how many times, you're in a blind with a group of guys and you get a good volley and everyone's shooting and stuff. How many times do guys forget to click the safety back on right after they're done, right? And they reload their gun, and you're fumbling around. You got dogs coming in and out of the blind. Like something like this, I can see how in certain scenarios it'd be really easy for something like this to happen. It's really unfortunate they were like carting their gear in or out of the field, whatever it was, that he had the gun even loaded at that point. But I mean, yeah, I think you put out a post earlier that just resonated with me in the sense that, if you got a guy in your crew that is hypersensitive about safety and like bringing it up all the time, and it may annoy you, or like you may think it's like stupid or like something that, whatever. I mean, it's a big deal. And that's something that, that person is doing because they don't want this to happen to you or to your friends or your family or anything like that. So, definitely give it another thought. I mean, instead of his family, his family now is, Thanksgiving is going to mean something different to them from here on out. It'll never be the same. Yeah. So that's really,
and I think his birthday is like a month away. So yeah, it's right after Christmas I think he would have been 20, so maybe 19. But yeah, it's funny you say that because, I grew up, my dad was a huge stickler every time we did something with firearms or bows or whatever it was. So it's like really ingrained in what I do. And one of the first times I hunted with you in a group and you really ran through it, some guys kind of shake it off, or it's, right before shooting light and you have the safety talk. It needs to be done, but I don't think a lot of people do it. Maybe they don't want to stand up in front of everyone and, reinforce the fact of what is going on or whatever it may be. But I always appreciate those just as a reminder. Or, if we're hunting somewhere and like you said, a volley goes off and the first thing you hear is safety's on, and it's, I appreciate that. And hopefully,
and that's the thing too. I don't care how long you've been doing it. You're susceptible to doing that, right? I mean, anybody, no matter how long you've been hunting, you're susceptible to getting caught in the moment and not clicking your safety back on, or just taking a shot in a blind across someone's face and hitting the end of their barrel. That 100 times, 99 out of 100 times you never take that shot for whatever reason. That day you get locked on a bird, whatever it is, you take the shot and things happen, right? I mean, people make mistakes, we're all human. So, hopefully guys are doing that more. And I think it's as important, it's important to do it when you're hunting with a new crew, right? Anybody for the first time, just getting an understanding of kind of where everybody's at. But it's as important to ensure that you're reviewing those things, at least on a somewhat routine basis with your crew that you hunt with, because those are the times when you tend to get more laxed and more complacent about things that you would typically do as a standard practice. But because you're in your comfort zone and whatever, you may do something different. So you can never be too careful. And that's one thing that we're really passionate about on the show, is just, we hate seeing people lose their life in us doing something that they're passionate about and that we all love. So,
I wanted to bring up too, when I was out in Oklahoma, and I was two guys down from Barton, and I hadn't loaded my gun yet. And he looks up at me, he goes, Dan. I was like, what's up? He goes, why isn't your safety on? And I was like, what? And he's like, why isn't your safety on? And I looked down, and definitely my safety was off. I was like, I haven't even got my ammo out yet. And he's like, all right, just making sure. But just, there are guys that are, they realize the same thing and the importance of it.
Yep.
I will just on a quick note too. And it's weird because I had a few conversations about this, but the same day that happened to that kid, there was another local kid here that ended up taking his own life on his own terms, and it was actually the 2-year anniversary of his mother taking her own life. And I, just growing up, I don't remember that happening around when we were growing up. Like, people just weren't committing suicide. I understand how different today is, has me worried for multiple reasons. But if any of our listeners out there need someone to talk to, reach out to us and we'll chat. Like, we'll be that person that you can talk to. So like you said, hate seeing it. And there's some, there's stuff that goes on that you can't control. And if we can be the door that you knock on and answer, then we'll be it. So
yep,
just
totally.
PSA for anyone.
Totally. So on to some maybe a little more brighter news. You're unemployed.
Let me take a sip of my tea.
Oh, tea.
No, it's coffee.
That's very high society of you.
Yeah, I tell you, I started work before I graduated college, and this is the first time that I've been in the unemployment camp. So a little different, but I have got a lot of things organized and cleaned up the last few days. So hopefully not too much longer, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you got some stuff in the works, and
yeah,
I actually told you, I was like, man, I would take some time, like enjoy the holidays, like, take a breath, like decompress a little bit, and get back at it. But yeah.
Hey, before we get into this, was it Saturday? Went hunting and took Sadie.
Oh, right.
Oh, my middle child, and she just wants to be a part of it, man. It's super cool. She's like, I was talking about it. She's like, Dad, wake me up. Wake me up when you go, and I'll put the waders on. I'll do everything. I'm like, all right. So I woke her up, and I was like, do you still want to go? And she jumped out of bed, ran downstairs. I was like, don't run. I was like, you're going to wake your brother up and sister. And then I'll have all these kids. And our buddy Tony met us out there, and he helped out and was talking to her and stuff. But yeah, she wanted to get out there and put decoys out and do the whole thing, and she did. So
yeah, that's great.
There was, and it is a quick spot on the lake, so my truck wasn't too far away, and she ended up getting pretty cold, and I realized that. So I was like, do you want me to go start the truck and you can play on my phone for a little bit? And she's like, yes, please.
Yeah.
So she went in and took some of her stuff off, and she just sat there for a little while and shot one merganser.
Get her a little buddy heater for the blind.
Well, we actually threw up a fast strike blind and just put a few sticks in front, some pines and oaks that still had trees on it. It actually turned out really well, but I probably could have done that, but I figured it was going to be short-lived. So, but she got back out, wanted to pick everything up. She wanted to hold the duck, and it was cool. She had fun.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Yeah.
Any positive experience in the field is a good one, and
Yep.
One more thing to build on. So
mm-hmm.
Very cool. So let's transition a little bit, unless you got anything else you want to hit before we get into the meat and taters of this week.
I don't think so. We got, like everyone else, that big storm coming through.
I knew you were going to go to the weather. As I'm watching you gaze out the window, I knew that's where you were going.
Well, I'm afraid like a tree's going to come through and impale me right now. But yeah, pretty windy. I wanted to get out today, but I got time, so.
You're living that retired life.
I got nothing but time. It was funny. I took my wife and some of her coworkers coffee yesterday, and she's like, "Well, you don't have to." I was like, "It's all right. I ain't got no job." Got some Tim Hortons.
I can't wait till it's like mid next week, and you're like, "I'm so busy. I can't believe I ever had time to work."
I know.
It's full on retired speak.
I see that with my dad. Uh-huh. Hey, you need to get trail cameras out. Dad, you're the retired one. Yeah. Literally, I got no time.
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, let's get into it.
Cool. So, one of the things, I don't know what it was this week, but something, it was, I saw a post about deer hunting, and the post was essentially, it's 99% boredom, uncomfort, like all of this things for 1%, like just heart pounding, like whatever, right. You know what I'm saying? Like that 1 second.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking like, man, that 99% for me though makes deer hunting really hard. Cause I just really don't like being uncomfortable and not seeing anything. And like, I'm not as passionate about it as I am with like waterfowl. So it got me thinking like, what are the qualities that really make a successful waterfowl hunter tick? And kind of what are the things that I've seen over time with people that, because I think we all know these these outdoorsmen who seem to have on a routine basis more success than the average guy. And, I learned very, very young. It was always like, I'd be deer hunting with some guys and be like, man, every time I'm with these guys deer hunting, I see more deer. I see more deer. The hunt's more engaging. Like, what is it that these guys do? And for a long time, I thought it was just they were lucky, right? Because I was just young. I didn't know any better. But now as I'm older, I'm like, there's nothing lucky about that. These guys do the things that need to be done to have success and, sustain that level of success. So that got me thinking about what it takes to get to that level. And I do want to caveat that we're going to define success probably a little differently, right? Like what you consider to be successful waterfowl hunter is probably slightly different than what I'll consider that to be. And they may overlap in some areas and they may not, but what we're going to do is we're going to roll through, we're going to each go through 5 and we'll go back and forth. And like, if you hit one that I had, or I hit one that you had, we'll kind of say like, yeah, I had the same thing, but then we'll try to figure out maybe something else so that we're not just, if we have a ton of overlap. Cause again, we've done no prep. We have no idea what each other has. So we're going to go at it like that. So
I'll let you go first. Cause I got a bunch written down just in case we do overlap.
I was going to give you honors, but, okay. So I have 5. I don't think they're in any particular order. They were just kind of what came to my mind. So number 1 for me, I think the most important quality for people that are going to have success, in my opinion, is persistence. So I think you got to be willing to sort of stay at it, and particularly in the very beginning, because waterfowl hunting to me had a pretty big learning curve, right? I mean, there's different regulations that you have to learn. There's a lot of nuance to that. There's a lot of gear that goes into waterfowl hunting. You're talking about all the decoys, the blinds, the shot, the guns, all of that goes into that. And it's really easy to get defeated early on by lack of success, especially if you don't have a good mentor to sort of help you come along, right? So a lot of guys that listen to our show, and one of the reasons why we got this program started was because there's guys out there that are trying to do this on their own and figure it out. And, those are the ones where if you're going to make it work long-term, like you've got to be persistent and understand that like there are going to be days when it sucks and there's not like a great outcome of all the hard work that you've done. And it may go on for an entire season or sometimes 2 seasons. I mean, we see it on the Facebook group all the time where guys are like, I've been getting after it for a year or 2, finally was able to shoot my first limit, right? And that's what they're gauging by success. They felt like I've reached a certain pinnacle, like in my development as a hunter, that I was able to, take a limit of ducks or geese or whatever it was in that situation. So I think that if you're going to have any sort of level of success, whether you gauge success by racking up limits or you gauge success by just getting on good hunts and have good experience, or just whatever you gauge. Like if you're not persistent to that end, like you'll never probably reach that goal in waterfowl hunting.
Mm-hmm. No, that's all good. It's all very good.
Is that one that you had?
And it's almost, well, it kind of blankets a couple, I think. but very, very well said. So
I go with the shotgun approach, not
you
so much a
sniper
rifle.
Right. Yeah, scattergun there. All right. I think and this is part of what you said, but having patience, realizing that nothing is perfect. And this is not like the waiting game type patience. This is realizing that stuff might go wrong, stuff is going to go wrong, and be okay with it. Like mentally stuff it away. If the birds flared and that might be your only thing for the day, realize, there is something to learn from that. And knowing that hunting rarely is perfect, I think the patience and wanting to get back out there, which goes into another one of mine, is pretty key to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's no shortcuts, right? I mean, especially for the person that's doing it on their own, like there are no shortcuts. I mean, guys can walk out in the deer woods and the buck of a lifetime will run by them on their first hunt and drop it, and they're all of a sudden like big buck hunter, right? In waterfowl, there's really not that shortcut. You gotta be patient, and to your point, to learn what you need to do. Like, I mean, you don't know what you don't know until you have the opportunity to experience it. So yeah, I agree with you that patience is very much a key attribute. A second one,
yes, sir,
for me, moving on to number 2, I did not have patience as one of mine, by the way. Number 2 for me is you got to be trustworthy. I talked about a mentor earlier, and I mean, that is huge. But to that end, when you form most people, if you hunt with other people, you hunt in sort of like a crew, right? Like you got your standard guys, and on occasion you may get invited on a hunt somewhere else or whatever. And you see this come up a lot on like public ground. Like if someone takes you to a spot that they've scoped out and they've spent a lot of time finding and identifying on public ground, and they bring you with them and you guys have a great hunt. Like if you turn around and go back there the next weekend without him and smash that spot out, like that's not a very trustworthy move, and you're unlikely to get invited again with that guy when you start doing stuff like that. Or, when you try to cut in on people's relationships that they've got with landowners and try to undercut them or whatever. I mean, if you're going to hunt in a group, there is going to be information shared. And if you take that information and abuse the knowledge of it and, aren't being a good hunting buddy, like we've talked about in the past, like you'll burn a lot of bridges and you'll be ended up kind of on the outside looking in on a lot of situations. So being a trustworthy individual that they could just say like, hey, I know I can take you there. You're not going to stab me in the back on this deal or whatever. Will go a long way as far as just getting your foot in the door and unlocking opportunities in the future.
Mm-hmm. I had trustworthy, but I had it in regards to safety. And there are guys that I've hunted with before that I will not hunt with anymore, just because of, stories and seeing the way that they act in the field. And it's not a safe situation for me or anyone else involved, and I refuse to hunt with them. So having that trust with your friends, knowing that they are looking out for everyone's safety and not, cross shooting and shooting your barrel off and stuff like that. That goes a very long way.
Especially when you're talking about like, if you bring your dog to that hunt, right? Like you're trusting guys to make the right decision over top of your dog. Like that's a big thing.
Yep. And that's, again, like I've said before, like Kimber, she will sit and she's I said her name. She's beating her tail off the couch over here. But,
off the couch.
Off the couch. But it's weird because in a duck blind, if she doesn't see the ducks fall, she won't break at all. She won't go. But if we're in a cut cornfield or something and she's in her blind and she assumes that one might be down, she'll take off. You know what I mean? Yeah. So knowing, especially, most of ours are still, we're just converting to the A-frame style of hunting. So when those guys pop out, I mean, you're shooting ground level if there's a bird on the ground. So I don't know, man. It's a scary situation, and it just goes back to having that talk with him and saying, watch the dog and
yep.
do not kill my dog. So trustworthy in a couple of different aspects there.
Yep. All right.
Is that my second one?
I mean, I guess you're looking at it in a different perspective than I am. So yeah. I think that's acceptable.
Okay. Well, I'll go on to number 3 for me, if that works.
Yeah.
Leapfrog. Yeah. The next one is passion, and passion fruit. Yeah. And kind of like you said before, the 99% boredom and 1%. And the one thing, as I was looking that up, I was like, what is passion? And they said, life is 10% experience and 90% how you respond to it. Okay. So kind of goes, but yeah, but the passion, like if you have a horrible day and the weather's going to be the same, everything's going to be the same, and you're going to the same setup, and a scout still looks good, but you didn't have a great day, like getting that oomph to when your alarm clock goes off to get up out of bed and get back out there and grind it out. I think a lot of people will fall into that, like, I'd rather just stay and watch college football today, have a little barbecue, whatever it may be. But if you're in it to be successful, you got to get out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably one that transits all of life, right? I mean, if you're going to, anything that's worth doing is worth overdoing, right? And it's like, if this is something that you want to have success in, you got to commit to it, and you got to go all into that. And yeah, I mean, I do think that most successful waterfowl hunters, passion is not a question of whether they have it, right? It's typically pretty clear that most of them are torn up with that kind of stuff. So
can I insert a quick story?
Please insert.
When I was in first grade, I forget what I did, but I got in trouble, and I remember I had to go out and help the janitor clean the halls. I remember being like near the water fountain.
This is like a scared straight situation.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, well, it almost is. But I remember, I don't know if I was wiping them down or doing something, but I was
the janitor?
Just the floor and water fountain.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so I was just half-assing it essentially, and he said the same thing. He said anything, something worth doing is worth doing right. And I was like, dang, janitor man, like that was pretty impressive.
Dropping knowledge bombs.
Yeah. And it's funny because all through grade school, high school, college, like anything that I thought about doing, that always popped into my mind. Like if I'm going to take the time to actually do it, I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to do it to 100%. So, so yes, you're right.
So did you just wipe this? Did you just go after that water fountain after that?
Dude, I just got all the gum out of it. Like it was germ free when I was done. I'll tell you that.
That's so gross.
Just bleached down, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me hit my number 3 here. Mine is you got to be accountable. And I say that because, a lot of times sort of hitting back to that good hunting buddy, right? I mean, if I'm counting on you to pick me up, to take me to the spot, or if I'm counting on you to be out of bed when I hit your house, whatever it is, I got to be able to count on you that you're going to be there. But also, I think even to a bigger one with this one, you got to hold accountability needs to be held, because so oftentimes it's easy to stray and it's easy to make bad decisions when you think no one's looking, right? So, you talk about people overshooting their limits or using, lead shot or things like that have happened over the course of time, baiting, all of that kind of stuff. I know that sort of overlays into a couple different things, but like being accountable to yourself and to what the community of waterfowl hunters is trying to accomplish by conserving the resource and, managing that resource properly. Everyone has to do their part for that to be successful. And, you know, I look at it as like, you know, I need you to not clean your birds at the ramp and leave feathers and carcasses all over the place for the kayakers that are going to come out and take pictures of like flowers to see, right? I mean, I need you to take care of your harvest for that day in an appropriate manner. Because when you don't, that impacts me and it impacts everybody else now that is going to have a tainted view by seeing that. So being an accountable person to what is expected to us as a waterfowl hunter that can set a good example, not only for each other, for non-hunters, but also for youth and things like that are going to be hunters, I think is really, really important.
I agree. I like that one. I'm going to go with something that's semi-close to it. And
this is number 4?
Yeah, this is my 4th. So
okay.
Integrity. Yeah. Integrity. Did you have that one?
No, but I feel that is in the very similar vein to what I was thinking for accountable. Yeah.
Right. And going back, just, you know, being honest as a person and as a hunting buddy, if you just want to get out and be outdoors, you know, make sure you let your buddies know that, okay, we might not kill anything tomorrow, but I do have permission on the spot, so let's go out and see what happens. You know, instead of saying, I saw 200 birds hitting this, and you know, we should limit out by 8 o'clock, something like that. That goes into also being a good person, but you know, we all know that someone that says, yeah, come on, I got a good field tomorrow. You get out there and then you start getting yelled at because no one has permission on that property when the person said that they did. And that can get into a very hairy situation. So again, how much does that go into being a successful hunter? I don't know, but being a good person and a good hunting buddy, it's pretty important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, having integrity too, like let's say you had a spot where you had baited it or you knew what had been baited, but then because you want to be the man, you bring some buddies over and, we're going to smash on this spot. Well, game warden shows up. Now it's everybody's problem because you took it upon yourself to do something like that. That's an extreme example, obviously, but yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty key for sure.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Okay, so we're at number 4, right?
Yes.
For me. All right. So my next one is, this one's pretty simple. You got to be smart. I mean, you just got to be able to make good decisions when the time comes. You know what I mean? And learn from your mistakes and, you know, try to make a better decision the next time. And that comes into taking in all of the information that you've learned, all the things that you read, maybe that you've read online or something like that, and you haven't personally experienced, being able to recall that information to make the best decisions possible when you're looking at your scout or your decoy spread or whatever it is, making adjustments on the fly. Why didn't those birds finish? You know, just that sort of intuitive knowledge that you have to be able to apply as a hunter, knowing when to turn the spinning wings off, knowing where to put them, knowing, you know, whatever it is. There's that piece of being smart, but then there's other times when you just got to be smart and know when to fold them and, you know, move on to hunt another day. You know, you talk about people having negative interactions on public ground, right? Getting into arguments, fighting over spots, shooting at each other, sprinkling BBs on top of each other from distances, you know, things like that. Gun safety, you know, we talk about it. Boating safety. When's the weather too much? When is it not the day to go, right? Like being able to make those decisions will have a direct impact on your ability to have long-term success as a hunter. And I truly believe that. And I do believe that a lot of guys, you know, have that ability, but oftentimes ignore what their gut is telling them for the sake of bravado or whatever it is. But yeah, I think being smart is one of the most important things that you can be as a duck hunter.
And expanding on that, being open to learning. So if it's your hunt, you scouted it, you did the setup, and then you have someone that is throwing out ideas or changes maybe to make, I think, you know, being smart and at least listening and not being the overriding roller of that is something good to learn.
Indeed.
Oh man, number 5, going through. All right. I think this goes more to not the weekend guys, but the guys that really get after it, and that's just drive, working harder than others, scouting daily, getting up daily. I mean, we've been on some hunts with guides where, after a 3 or 4 day hunt, like, it gets exhausting. Mm-hmm. And for those guys to have that in them, I know it's a job for them, but still to wake up and put out a quality product, or if you're not guiding and still grinding like that every day, like that drive, there obviously is the passion to get it done, and it's in there for sure, but you still putting in the work and getting out there and grinding.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, where are you drawing the line between passion and drive?
Well, I guess the passion is more for the guys that could, I don't know, I guess drive. If you think about drive, if you're a guide, you have to have drive to get up and do it every day, right? The passion for guys that have other options to do whatever they want to do, but they still put that in front of everything else.
Yeah. I kind of look at drive as actually like a physical attribute, and passion is more of an idealistic or an ideal that you hold, right? Like, I'm passionate about shooting big bucks. I love it. I'm not willing to put the time in to really scout and do all the crap that it takes to actually shoot big bucks on a regular basis. But like, I love the idea of doing it, and same with waterfowl hunting. I love waterfowl hunting. I am passionate about it to, as much as almost anything in my life that I am, but I don't have the drive to, miss my son's like weekend games and stuff because I'm out scouting, or, I think it would be easier for a guide, as you mentioned, to maintain a high level of drive if he's also passionate about what he's doing. If he's not passionate about waterfowl hunting and he's just guiding to make ends meet, and those mornings are going to wear you down, right? I mean, that's going to get harder and harder to do if you're not passionate. So I do think they're separate things, but I think they go hand in hand.
Yep.
For a successful person. So that was your number 5, right?
Yep.
Okay. So my last one is, I think you have to be resourceful. I think you've got to be able to look at things differently than every other hunter is willing to look at it, to try to find the gap, right? Whether you're looking at a piece of public ground that you're trying to hunt and find that spot, whether you're looking at a decoy spread and can't figure out why the birds won't finish, or you're looking at a hide and you're trying to figure out the best way to do it. You're looking at calling. How can I call differently? How can I connect with these birds? Like, how can I make my calling more effective? All of these things just get that ability to be resourceful and play the hand that you're dealt to make the best possible outcome of your situation. So if you've only got Saturdays and Sundays to hunt, and your hunting area is an hour away from where you live, your ability to effectively scout that area is going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very hard to do. So you better figure out ways to get good information on what's going on in that area if you have any expectation of successful hunts in the form of harvesting birds, right? So whether that's you're willing to talk to somebody locally, or you and your buddies do like a shift where you guys take turns scouting it, and once every 4 weeks it's your job and you're hitting it, limiting the impact to your family or your time or whatever it is. Those are just a couple examples, but I mean, how many times have we seen guys do just amazing DIY projects that just turn in awesome things because they were just resourceful and they've got a skill and ability to do something, and they apply it to waterfowl hunting. I think that's one of the magic potions of the waterfowl hunter is your ability to make what you have at your disposal and maximize that leverage that you get from those things, whatever that situation might be. So for me, resourceful duck hunters and waterfowl hunters in general are some of the ones that I've seen that have the most sustained success over time.
I like it. I agree, man. I agree.
Go ahead.
I wanted to shoot one last thing in there, and that was just,
of course you did.
Of course, optimism, and not just
a good old fashioned positive attitude.
Just a positive attitude. You know what I mean? Like going out there, having a good time, having fun, even if you know like it's not going to be a banger, and you just go and you're not the Debbie Downer. I think that
Nobody
goes
Debbie.
That goes not into the being successful as far as limiting out every time, but it's a enjoyable time in the field, which many people will define success as.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, no one likes someone that sits there and complains the whole time, right? And being optimistic will definitely make the higher points, the points of success, that much better, and it will keep your points of lack of success and disappointment not as low. So it just helps you just Jim Zorn stay medium style for the local Redskins fans here that know that reference. Anyway, you got any other honorable mentions you wanted to throw at me? I know you had like 100 written down.
I had optimism, confidence, communication, and being resilient. Were just some honorable mentions.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. So I think the question we would ask our listeners is, what have we missed, right? I mean, what are the things that you've seen either in other people or that you feel you have that allows you to be more successful than not? And what have you done to get to that point? And these are the things that we could talk to about, to green wing hunters and youth hunters about, helping them adjust and learn how to become a waterfowl hunter, because it's so much more than just patterning your shotgun and all of that kind of stuff. Did you just have a tree hit the house?
No, I think it was a chair on the back deck just slid across the.
It's getting weird.
It's getting weird.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we had a good chat there about characteristics of hunters that we feel are successful, and definitely would love to hear some feedback. I'm sure Vandekamp will have some unique insight. He likes to give a little rundown in the Facebook group of his interpretation of each episode.
A forward summary.
Yeah.
So, dude, Thanksgiving tomorrow. What are you thankful for?
Oh, man. I mean, a lot, obviously. I mean, I don't know. I tend to be the pretty standard. I mean, I'm thankful. I mean, my daughter's about to turn 1 year old next month. So, I look at how quickly that time has gone, and I'm just, it took us a long time for her to join us. And now that she's here, I remember with my son when he was born, all I kept thinking was, I can't wait till he's old enough to go duck hunting with me and go play baseball and do these things that I enjoy doing. And now my daughter, all I'm saying is just please slow down. Like, just please don't, stop growing so fast. And, she's starting to walk and things like that. And it's just, life goes by so quickly. So I'm just thankful for family and all that kind of stuff. And, the standard things. And the biggest thing too, is I always think about, this time of year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all that kind of stuff, is just all of the, men and women in our services and in other capacities that are supporting, defending freedom and all that kind of stuff. They're going to do that away from their families this year. So always thinking about those folks and keeping them in our prayers and, being thankful for what they do for us. So it's pretty much it, man. Kind of the standard stuff for me here.
Yep. Same deal. Family, friends, freedom. Right.
Dang.
Boom.
Snap.
Mic drop. It's all good. And this year, PA opens their buck openers on a Saturday instead of a Monday, which some people are mad about, but a lot of working folk are happy about. And
that just cracks me up. Like, buck season's open all over the place on Saturdays, and it's no big deal. In PA, it's like freaking apocalypse.
I know. Well, I can see, the people that put time and resources into camps, and they go to camp on Friday night. They have all weekend to get their stand set and everything done, and they get all their drinking in, and they go out Monday and do the hunt. So losing that weekend is just something that they're going to have to deal with. But on the other hand, the guys that don't have the time off and need to work every day, they'll get a first shot like everyone else. So it's all good.
Yeah, I'm into it.
I like it. See both sides.
Yeah.
More opportunity.
I tend to err on the side of, if it gets more people opportunities to hunt, then that's where I support.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I'm in. And actually, I think I told you I booked a hotel on my birthday, which is Black Friday, in downtown Pittsburgh on accident through Expedia, and I cannot get out of it. So Saturday morning, good thing I'm tagged out, but I will be waking up and driving home and probably come and put a push on through our property once I get back, or hopefully grab the quad and be dragging deer out. One of the two.
Who's all going to be hunting on the property this year?
Not sure. My brother and his daughter is going to be sitting with him.
Oh, nice.
For the first time.
That's pretty neat.
My dad. I don't know if Thad's coming over or not. So we'll see. Cool. We'll have to hook it up, but I don't have to do any of the hard work this year because I spent 2.5 hours in the stand. So
you were persistently passionate about the pursuit of a big buck this year, and your smart, resourceful techniques proved to bear out.
Yeah, and patience, waiting into November to have my first sit.
You didn't hunt too early, like you know.
So that opening shout out to all those killers that you were talking about that are, just get it done, and it's not all luck. I want to thank you for those kind words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got it, man.
So luckily I do have a place where I know all the routes and all that fun stuff. So get it when the getting's good.
Yeah. When the shooter bucks start showing up in the backyard, that's typically when it's time to go out and hang in a tree for a couple hours.
Yep. Dude, so last night, I think I texted you this. I spotted for a half an hour. For people that say PA don't have a lot of deer, I spotted for a half an hour with my daughter, Sadie, who wanted to go out again. I saw 71 deer on my road, which is 1.1 miles long from my house to the end. And there were nine bucks within, I want to say 500 yards of my property line that I saw out in fields. And we ended with 124 deer. We only spotted one other area, being the management. And there was a 170, 180 class 10 point that was limping through a field chasing a doe. Man. And it was a monster, absolute monster.
Spread that seed, brother.
Yes. He was probably only 70 yards off the road.
Oh wow.
And I put the light up on him, and I was like, whoa. I was like, Sadie, look at that. And she's like, that's a big buck. And he stopped and looked, and man, just outside the ears, just huge, just tall. Oh, he's and totally symmetrical. Just a perfect 10. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I do love big bucks. I mean, it gets me charged up. I sent you that picture of the one that was standing in the front yard of my son's school the other day. And that thing was just a monster, and he's just standing there with like 4 or 5 does. Couldn't care less that I was there, but yeah, gets me jazzed up for sure. It's hate hanging in trees waiting for him.
Yep.
Give me a good old rifle and some deer drive. Let's go.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, you got anything else you want to add to this week, or should we go on getting our Thanksgiving started here?
Yep. Let's wrap her up.
All right. Well, before we do that, I do want to make a minute just to thank Quack Rack, Gunner Kennels, Lucky Duck, Eukanuba, Duck Camp, and Turtlebox Audio. And also thank you to Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource. They've got over 160 instructional videos. It includes everything you need to take your 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com to sign up for their free preview module and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the most advanced gun dog training resource on the web. That's going to do it for episode 162. Hopefully y'all enjoyed our talk about the 5 characteristics that we feel each waterfowl hunter needs to be successful. If you're new to the show, you can head over to iTunes. You can check out all of our past episodes there. While you're there, you can also leave us a 5-star rating and review. It's the best way to help like-minded hunters just like you find our show. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. That's going to do it for us this week. Till we're back next week. For Dan, I'm Josh. Take care.